Okay, good afternoon, good evening, good morning, whatever time that you are watching this video. I am Richard Taylor back with another Taylor House Publishing video. This video was about the time that the Goldsboro City Government deliberately mismanaged a $500,000 grant that was supposed to be reserved or set aside for underprivileged or underserved communities. Now, even though this happened back in 2013, this is just an example of the blatant mismanagement or blatant corruption that goes on in city government. Now, that picture that you see in the thumbnail is from 2013 from an article in the News Argus concerning a time that I established a meeting with the city government officials of that time concerning what they were doing with the money. I had did some research, found out, studied their budget, and found out that the money that was allocated from the Community Development Block Grant, which they got every year, and $500,000 of it was supposed to go to underserved communities. I did the research. I set up a meeting with the city councilman and the then mayor, Al King, and I listed about 30 questions that I found out concerning what they were doing with the money. Now, the picture that you see is of me and now current Councilwoman Brandy Matthews, who was there at the meeting. She was also involved. She's been involved since then. So, shout out to her. But let me tell you how that they deliberately mismanaged a $500,000 grant. Now, this grant was supposed to go to underserved communities, buildings that were underserved or, programs, anything dealing with underserved or underprivileged communities. So I dug into the finances and found out what they did with the money. Now, this is what the Goldsboro then city government did with this money. They spent $200,000 of the money to demolish a hotel that was on Highway 70. I think they used to call it the Sher Motel. It was a demolition project. They said that we're going to use this community development block grant money to tear down this hotel in this quote unquote underserved community. Now, that raised a red flag to me because there were so many other things that could be done with the money, yet they chose to demolish a building, a hotel, and they did nothing else at that location. I think that location is still empty to this day. So it leads me to believe during that time there was some type of contractor that they wanted to bless, or probably somebody in the city government had some stake in that business that got that contract to demolish that building. Now, also they spent $175,000 on a fire truck. And their justification for this was this fire truck serves the underserved community. So that's why, that's what we're going to use it for. That is how they justified spending $175,000 allocated to underserved communities by spending it on a fire truck that quote unquote serves that underserved community. Now, we all know who benefited from that purchase: the fire truck, or the fire department, or the city, or whoever sold that fire truck. And then they went on to a little bit here and there, but nothing of that money, in my opinion, was used as the community development block grant proposed. And so that money could have been used in one of the housing areas to build a community center. Could have been used for after school programs in those low income housing areas. That money could have been used for anything rather than spending on demolishing a hotel that really wasn't in an underserved community, or buying a fire truck for the fire station that quote unquote serve the underserved community. Now, once again, this happened 10 years ago, but that is just one example of 1 year that I dug into those finances. And at that time, I was staying in Virginia, and I would come down and just try to be active in the community. And actually, at that meeting, if you go pull up the article, I actually stormed out of the meeting because I think the city manager at that time, I think his name was Mark Stevens, every question I asked him, which was a direct and clear-cut question, he said, okay, well, we don't know. We have to get back with you. We have to find the answers. When the answers were clear, because I brought the finances and the budget to let them know, okay, I know, how can you justify these actions? Nevertheless, it was at that time, after that meeting that picture was taken. Now, I don't know, because I wasn't that involved in community working, but I don't know if those proposals had to be voted on by the then city council, or were they just decided upon by those in power or those that wanted those deals to take place. But that is just an example of people being or having to be more involved in the city's decisions, because if that was in a work session, or if that word was in a motion presented by the board, then the city or the citizens of the city should have been right there front and center and saying, no, we don't want you to use this community development block grant money for those purposes. Use it in a more equitable or in a more efficient way to better serve the people that it was allocated to serve. Now, I don't know if that block grant still exists. I don't think it does, because I looked on the website and I didn't see anything of it. I don't know when they discontinued it, but I can just imagine how else that they used that money within the period of years that they were receiving that grant. Now, we all know about the current audit situation and the current state of the city's finances, and that is one example why that the city is probably in the condition that it is now. Nevertheless, we have a new city council, a new mayor, so hopefully they will do right by the citizens. But also, it is up to the citizens like you and I to go to those meetings, to realize what type of money that the city is getting, and also realize and hold them accountable to how and where and why they spend certain monies that are granted by the federal government. I think there was a federal government grant and things of that nature. So we have to be more vigilant. We have to be more discerning in our participation in the city government to prevent things like this happen. Now, you can look it up. I don't know if they still have the budgets, but you can go down, on the website and maybe look up 2013's budget. But, that was one thing that kind of opened my eyes up to what they were doing. And because of that, now mind you, I'm staying in Virginia, and because of that one action, that one meeting, that one gathering of the people, there were several people who came to that meeting with me, and because of that one meeting, I actually received a indirect threat from the city government. I had a friend whose mother worked at the city government, the city hall at the time. And, sometime after that meeting, I got a call from that friend. And he told me that his mother asked him, did he still keep in contact with me? And when he told her yes, she said, well, you should call him and tell him to be careful. And when he told me that, I'm like, what she mean be careful? Well, she said, that she had been hearing my name around City Hall. And I was like, what you mean? Of course, I've been setting up meetings and I've been coming around there ruffling feathers. He was like, nah, she said that, she had heard, that someone say we need to find a way to shut him up. And so that right there let me know that I was on the right path with that, because anytime people are wanting you to shut up, then there must be something you're saying that they don't want to be disclosed. And so, I learned from that incident that, the most that you can cry about laws, you can cry about crime, You can cry about, education. But once you start talking about what you're doing with the money, then it's like, okay, stay out of our business. And so if we really want to hold people accountable, if we really want to hold this current government accountable, we have to be more involved in what are they doing with the monies that are supposed to be benefiting the city. Making sure they're not benefacting contractors who getting $200,000 contracts just to demolish an old hotel that has been sitting there dormant for years, and after you demolish it, there is no productivity amassing from that $200,000 expenditure. And so I just want to give y'all this quick example. Once again, shout out to Councilman Matthews, because as you see in the picture, this picture is from 10 years ago, and she was active in the government then, as well as a lot of other people. But I just came across that picture the other day, and it reminded me of that particular point in time, or that point in history, whereas the city government, without supervision, going unchecked, will kind of do what they want with the citizens' money. And we will be remiss if we don't participate in the city government, making sure that our city government, our leaders, our financiers do the things that they have sworn to do in the best interest of the city of Goldsboro. But I'm Richard Taylor. Y'all know my number, 919-587-7782. I just wanted to give y'all this quick example of past city mismanagement of government funds. Peace and blessings. I'm out.